Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
They are just immune to charges of hypocrisy, aren't they? About who should answer a subpoena and why, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Jim Jordan, right? He is still in subpoena non-compliance.
Yeah.
It's theater of the absurd. You know, the good news is the Republican Party continues to implode. They can't govern. I don't know that they want to govern. I don't know if the government will remain open, but here's the good news. Even if the government shuts down because they fail to fund the government, guess what? Prosecutions continue because they are essential functions. So, you know what? They cannot stop justice from coming.
Speaking of Bannon, appeals court skeptical of Bannon push to overturn contempt of Congress conviction. He's, again, claiming executive privilege, right?
Yeah, and that is something that's been debunked 10 times over.
Right.
The real travesty here, Steph, I was in court watching the whole Bannon trial. He was, convicted so fast it made his head spin. The real travesty here is the Trump-appointed judge who let Bannon remain on release pending appeal. Bannon should have been cooling his heels in the Bureau of Prisons for the 4 months that the judge imposed on him. That really is kind of a deep injustice.
Yeah. Let's turn to a lot of news in Jack Smith land, right? You tweeted in Jack Smith's new court filing, he knocks down Trump's BS claim that Joe Biden is directing the prosecutions against him, saying Biden has no role in this case and the career prosecutors handling this matter would not participate in this prosecution if it were otherwise. Trump yesterday said, Biden's directing the Manhattan trial. I mean, it's so absurd on its face, isn't it?
It is absurd, and I was thrilled when I saw Jack Smith say that so definitively, right, in such a clear-eyed fashion. Every word that I put in court filings, and Jack Smith has, submitted lots of court filings, I had to be able to back up. It had to be true, it had to be accurate, and I had to have evidence to support it. When I saw Jack Smith say, my team of prosecutors would resign from this case if Joe Biden had anything to do with this prosecution, I immediately thought back to the prosecutors who walked off cases, some of whom resigned from the Department of Justice, some of my friends and former colleagues, when Bill Barr weaponized the Department of Justice to do favors for Donald Trump's criminal associates like Mike Flynn and Roger Stone. Some of the federal prosecutors, careerists, said, I'm out. I'm not going to be part of that. That is exactly what Jack Smith articulated in that court filing.
Your other tweet, Judge Chucknan grants Jack Smith's motion regarding Trump's absurd advice of counsel defense. So he seems like that's a bit of a legal sticky wicket, isn't it? If he claims advice of counsel, then there's no attorney-client privilege. But go ahead.
Jack Smith filed the put up or shut up motion because Donald Trump and his lawyers have been prattling on some of the Sunday shows. We're going to raise an advice of counsel defense. We're going to say all of the crimes Donald Trump committed on and around January 6th were on the advice of counsel. Counsel told me it wasn't against the law to do all this stuff. Well, first of all, factually, that's nonsense. But more importantly, Donald Trump went from an advice of counsel defense to an advice of drunk counsel defense, Rudy Giuliani, but here's my favorite, an advice of my own instincts defense. Because remember, when I think it was Kristen Welker was interviewing him, he said, I didn't listen to the lawyers. I went on my own instincts. Well, there is no advice of my own instincts defense, but I want him to go with that one step because his instincts are always criminal. So let's hand that one to the jury.
Yeah, that's why my stack is so large, because there's so many crimes. Most of my documents, I've got J6. So although Jack Smith did not, reading from a piece, did not charge Trump with inciting January 6 riots at the Capitol, a new court filing shows that special counsel's team is preparing to use the riot as a central part of its case that Trump correctly tried to obstruct the certification. I need you to break this down for me. The new filing argues that Trump's incitement of the mob was part of a last-ditch effort to intimidate Congress and Pence to refuse to certify Biden's victory. So what is that? I mean, the headline is new Jack Smith filing shows he's ready to hammer Trump for inciting January 6th.
He's not. I wouldn't. That's not the headline I would have written. He's prepared to introduce all relevant evidence to prove not only Donald Trump's criminal conduct, but his criminal intent. Because remember, Seth, this was a multi-pronged attack on our democracy. He was pressuring state election officials. He was pressuring his own vice president. And I love the statement that Mike Pence said, that when he made it clear, I'm not going to violate the law, violate the Electoral Count Act, Mr. President, and corruptly throw you the election. Mike Pence said that Trump told him, you know what's your problem? You're too honest. Steph, there is a marquee statement proving his corrupt intent. Donald Trump knew that what he was asking Mike Pence to do called for dishonesty. But then you've got the fake electors, you got the attack on the Capitol, you've got the refusal to call it off while it was in progress, and you have him giving aid and comfort to the insurrectionists. All of this will be presented to the jury as one whole, with the goal of Donald Trump clinging to power illegally.
There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry if I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.